Welcome to Cruise Ship Crime Investigators, the book series. Book 2, Serial Killer.
Chapter 5, Miami. The scorching hot Miami sun beats down through the large window of a long-time disused commercial retail unit. Without functioning air conditioning, it's punishing British officer Kieran Phillips, dressed in a tourist's Miami Beach t-shirt, shorts, short white socks just below his huge calf muscles, and pumps. Looks like someone whose luggage was lost on the plane. He collapses in a chair, wiping his brow and face with the base of his t-shirt. It is no longer white. "Can't take the heat. I thought you did multiple tours in Iraq and Syria," Hunter Wiltosky mocks, with a deep Texan drawl. "You know nothing about me, apart from the online press rubbish and what that clown of a ghostwriter invented for the book." "No, I have a full jacket on you," Hunter boasts as he walks out of the door to lift one end of a desk waiting on the sidewalk. Kieran gets up and joins him, taking the other end. He lifts it, walking backwards as Hunter pushes forward. "You might have been CIA, but they never really know what's going on," Kieran adds, provoking him. "Remind me how we became partners." "I solved a crime on your last ship. Then I got your wife back from the kidnappers, taking a bullet, I might add. Then I had to find my own daughter, who you allowed to be taken from right under your security chief nose. Now I'm sharing my job offer as an international cruise ship investigator with you. You should read my biography," Kieran answers. "Thank your white sock-wearing British butt, I got you gainfully employed here in the heart of the cruise world, Miami." Kieran drops his end abruptly. Hunter crashes into the desk and drops his end, narrowly missing his bare feet in flip-flops. "The heart of the cruise world," Kieran laughs as he walks outside into the empty car park to look at the parade of boarded-up commercial units. The realtor said a very desirable neighborhood, a spacious unit attached to a popular restaurant. Hunter points towards the adjoining brightly painted diner that sits on the corner. "Seriously? Where were the local facilities, including a bank and a successful progressive college?" "Near." They are both tall, physically fit men with frames that suggest they were carved by many years of military service. Both have scars, or as their domestic passports might suggest, identifying marks. Hunter has 2 healed bullet wounds to the left shoulder. Kieran has an old scar that starts just below the sleeve of his shirt on his right arm and pops out over the neckline. Of the two, Hunter looks far more relaxed and at home here in Florida. Kieran gestures at the area. "This is Miami, in the greatest country in the world, and the shops are all closed down. Business has moved to commercial outlets at the new mall, making these great units available. Lots of parking, easy access," Hunter boasts, "for the ships to pull up right outside. We'd be mega flush if your daughter hadn't left our millions on the last ship." Kieran nods slowly. "But had that chunk of cash come off the ship, as you'd planned, the Portuguese police would have it firmly in their pension plan, and we'd be locked up right now with nothing." Hunter disagrees, shaking his head. "Why not put some of what we do have into better offices, somewhere near the cruise companies?" Kieran suggests. "We don't show favoritism or allegiance by being near any one shipping company," Hunter counters. "Well, we tick that box, but they won't know we exist back here. An office away from prying eyes is where we plan how to get our money off the last ship." Kieran walks up and pats Hunter's cheeks between his hands. "Fine, you plan that. I'll be in Wild Mary's next door where the AC might work." Kieran walks back into the unit to grab his smartphone. Hunter follows him in and stands silhouetted in the doorway. Don't ever slap me again. It's a British thing. Don't care. Don't do it. You're not supposed to like it. I know. I watch Benny Hill. But don't, Hunter says, deadpan. How about we call this bromance off? We're kidding ourselves. We're not going to be offered loads of work on cruise ships. They're not riddled with crime. They've got rid of us. Sleight of hand. Whoop, gone. First, you see us. Then we're in a derelict unit on a brownfield site in a forgotten area of Miami. I'm going to do that British slap on you in a moment, but with a little American force. That's not how it works. It's not meant to be forceful. It's a comedy thing. It only works when the bigger guy slaps the smaller guy. Offended, Hunter stands bolt upright. Why are you here? Seriously, we don't have anything to offer the shipping industry, Kieran counters. We are experts in training cruise security personnel. Then we need an office in Goa, not Miami. When was the last time any ship employed Americans or British? Kieran insists. Oh, you mean like me or you? Look where we are. Sitting pretty, about to walk next door and have breakfast in Wild Mary's. We'll figure out how to get back on that ship and get our money, which is locked in a trunk. Only we have the key, Hunter exclaims, pointing at the plain white wall, which has a nail knocked in it. There is a large wet patch swelling below the dangling key that drips water. You banged that in there, Kieran accuses. I banged it in because you tried and failed. Plaster splits and water bursts out. The nail flies across the room and the key is lost. Chapter 6. Cadiz. Officer Ruby Jenkins sits behind her desk holding a picture of the masquerade mask recovered from the sea. Looking sideways at security footage from last evening, she sees it is far too common to be of use. Captain Neil Reynolds enters and closes the door behind him. You should get some sleep, Ruby. The lifeboats are on their way in. They found a body just after sunup. They've radioed in to confirm the cruise card in the jacket pocket is of Eric Clifford, the second guest missing at your roll call last night. I can't sleep. We have 2 dead bodies. You're out of hours. You must take a 6-hour break. Let's assume, for now, that Clifford killed Donna McGovern, then jumped ship. I've closed the starboard deck so we can bring his body back on board undercover, Neil explains. He moves back to the door and tries to insist she take his advice. I'm going to shower, change, and grab something to eat before I have to take his wife down to identify the body. Ask her if she understands the note, Ruby says harshly, offering the red evidence bag containing the red table napkin. Scatter, you featureless puppet, scatter. Why come on board with your wife, then murder another woman? Beats me. Let's sleep on the featureless puppets. Sounds like someone didn't like the walking tour of Cadiz. Ruby punches up Eric Clifford's picture in the passenger records. His wife Betty looks strong, smart, and happy in her picture. She has a wide smile that would not be allowed on a government passport. What makes you smile, Ruby? Eric and Betty Clifford, she reads out loud. Data booking was just over a year ago. They paid full price for the standard cabin, so were upgraded when unsold bed space went on sale. It was also to celebrate their 40th wedding anniversary. Ruby checks the anniversary date against the itinerary. The day we visit Bora Boring. Thank you, Ruby. When the boats are back, we'll power on towards Tahiti and start to make up for last night's lost time. Later, after you've rested, you can figure out the why and wherefore. Now, good night. The captain leaves, but Ruby sits firm. Something is annoying her. She checks the list of their previous cruises on the ship, which only frustrates her more. Then details for occupation. Reveal your twisted logic, she muses to herself. Ruby scrolls down and finds retired as their occupations. She jumps screens, searching both Eric and Betty Clifford on the ship's chat group. Then their profiles on social media. They are inadequately filled in, as she would expect from users of their age. Neither was selling themselves to find a partner nor a job. She looks at the cruise stops for the huge world cruise itinerary. Cadiz. Well done, Captain. Ruby produces a wide, mischievous smile and sorts through a folder on Cadiz, where she easily finds a brief reference to the Puppet Museum. It was on the walking tour of the city. Back to the computer, she checks the Cliffords' purchase history and discovers neither of them took the walking tour of Cadiz. They took the excursion to Seville. Damn, they didn't go there. But... Ruby picks up her phone and dials. Hi, Lucy Excursions. It's Ruby in security. Hello, Ruby Security. I hope you're busier than I am this morning, Lucy replies. Long story, another time. Could you tell me what time the Seville excursion got back when we were in Cadiz? Ruby listens and writes down 15:52 hours, circles it and looks at the clock. I've not been to bed yet. That's the least romantic offer I have ever had. Sorry, Lucy, I must try harder. The call ends and Ruby goes into her records of the times that crew and guests left or re-embarked the ship. Betty Clifford embarked at 16:15 hours, but Eric did not board until 17:25 hours. All aboard time was 17:30 hours. Perfect, Eric. Methinks you went off on a solo jolly. How far is Puppet Land? Ruby pulls a Cadiz map and discovers the Puppet Museum is just behind the station, next to where they were docked. Eric Clifford, you little puppet master. She types into the search engine, Puppet Master Cadiz, and she watches the first result, a Doris Visits YouTube film entitled The Puppet Master of Cadiz. The small museum has a collection of strung and standing full-sized puppets. Listening to the commentary from Jean, the cruise channel host, Ruby writes, Francisco Peralta, the Puppet Master of Cadiz. She sits back, thoughts whirring, trying to connect the dots. Eventually, she searches the actual phrase. Scatter, you featureless puppets, scatter. The first result is 7 Pillars of Wisdom, day 1 of 240. I need to sleep, she exclaims, seeing the book is all online. It is written by T.E. Lawrence, and a wormhole begins. The second tab finds that Thomas Edward Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia, was a British archaeologist and army officer. He worked as a spy and led the Arab revolt against the Ottomans in World War I. He diarized his affairs and they became a book, then a classic film. So classic I've never seen it, she says sarcastically. Ruby sits back in her chair. I love this, but Eric, this is getting serious, and I do need to sleep. She cannot resist the urge to delve further. The book starts with a poem, which she reads over and over. The language is complicated. No one will make sense of this madness. Ruby jumps links from one cyberspace to another. Lawrence was born out of wedlock in Wales, though neither of his parents were from there. Died in 1935 and is buried in Moortown, Dorset. Lawrence used the name T.E. Smith when working at an engineering firm of national importance. Enough. She recovers the print from the poem and reads the first line. I loved you, so I drew these tides of men into my hands and wrote my will against the star. They were all stargazing, Ruby continues. Sometimes one man carried various names. This may hide individuality and makes the book a scatter of featureless puppets, rather than a group of living people. She highlights it and hits the print. Featureless puppets in a masked ball, she says wearily to herself. She calls the captain on her cell. Ruby, I thought I told you to get some sleep, Neil answers. Sir, have you identified the body with Mrs. Clifford yet? She asks. No, I'm about to leave. Ask her to bring her passport and her husband's. Passports are with the hotel staff. They always are on a world cruise. I'll meet you there. That phrase from the poem, it might be nothing, but I sense it needs looking into, Ruby says, putting the phone down, then pulling the print from the machine. She slaps water from a bottle on her own face, then dashes out.